Welcome to the Growth Pod. I'm Sahib.
And I'm Ed.
Can we start again, please?
I guess that.
Welcome to the Growth Pod. I'm Sahib.
And I'm Ed.
This is episode 2
of Gamification. Episode 5 or 6, I think, in the full run of things. But if you remember from last time, we introduced you to some octalysis of gamification by some guy called
Yukai Chow.
And the way that he'd broken down various nudges that we see in human behavior and in the market to make humans do different things. And this week we're going to focus on the second half. But do you want to give us a quick recap of the first half?
Yeah, so the first 4 that we covered were epic meaning and calling, which was all about finding your inner calling and that act effectively being a motivator as to you using a product or service. Development and accomplishment, which is all around like leaderboards and badges. Empowerment or creativity and feedback. The fact that, as humans, we want to flex our creativity and be told if it's good or, can be improved. And then the final thing, ownership and possession, the idea that we like to look after things or, build on a solid foundation. And those are what is a mixture of like white hat and intrinsic motivators. And, as Ed said, we're going to go to some of the more extrinsic and sort of black hat octalysis drivers. So
before we get into it, if you missed that episode, we'll put the link in the bio. Go and find it because it's a really nice start to what is now the second half of gamification.
Let's roll. So number 5, social influence and relatedness. What's that mean to you?
I guess it's what is being built to draw. What makes me feel like I'm an influencer almost, right? So I guess the likes of Facebook and Instagram have constantly played on, look how many followers you've got, how many likes have you got, and we've obviously seen the detriment to mental health because of that. And help people are making money over selling followers, right? You can go in and make somebody jealous by having more followers. That's all a bit silly. I guess next would be being part of a community.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you kind of see what someone else has got, and it very much links to the first thing, right? Like you want to have what you don't have. The other thing is like a social prod, like the idea that if there's something which gives you a sense of nostalgia, you're more likely to go and buy it. So when we had a brief discussion about this, we're like, okay, like vinyl players, they've had a bit of resurgence, and that invokes nostalgia for people who've had them in the past, or like people's parents who've kind of spoken about that. But really, as we kind of looked at this, social media is the most prominent in this space.
Or if we look even more forward, right, it's kind of status as a service via various NFT profile picture projects. So the Bored Ape Yacht Club, you were either way ahead of time and you bought one for $10, $50, less than gas, significantly less than gas fees. Yeah. Whereas now, I mean, I don't know what the most recent one for, but they must be in the millions of dollars or something close to.
Just got one for 1.3 million.
And so they're either flexing, I've got lots of money, on which other people are like, I want one of those because I need lots of money, or they're flexing, I was super early in this idea, I'm really intelligent, I wish I was that intelligent. That's the black hat bit of this.
Exactly.
Gamification strategy.
Yeah, and what Ed's just mentioned is actually quite a nice passover for the next part, because NFTs really buy into the whole idea of number 6, which is scarcity and impatience. This one's quite very much a follow-on from the last. If there's something that you don't have, you want it more. The idea of if something's covered by a black canvas, you want to know what's behind it.
Yeah. Corporations at the moment certainly are endlessly trying their hardest to create in some cases real and in some cases fake scarcity around their products, right? Old school, it's art, wine, cars, maybe land. I mean, I really don't understand how land in Decentraland is a scarce product, like the Ethernet is endless kind of thing. But here we are creating some sort of fake scarcity to make that consumer want to buy it quicker. Booking.com, does that work? There's only so many people looking at this, and there's only 4 rooms left at this price. That kind of silly scarcity. Yeah, that's all gamification that you'll now forever see and know you're being played.
On my walk over here, the one that I actually did think of, and it's kind of blindingly obvious, is like dating apps, right? Like this continuous swipe. The idea that what you can't see is what you kind of want to see. What's next? It really buys into the whole impatience piece. And yeah, like Ed said, if you see on eBay, you've got that counting down clock to when the auction ends. Do you make that bid or do you not? So it's there to kind of nudge that human behavior. And I suppose with the humans are unpredictable, and I guess that's the next thing. So unpredictability and curiosity is the drive number 7. What's that to you?
Gambling, right? Outright, I think. And yeah, If I think that maybe games have done a really good job of trapping. Not trapping's a mean word, but there are occasions of game addiction, aren't there? But
Fortnite addiction.
Yeah, right. But games have done a really good job of trapping people into these ecosystems to keep people there. I mean, I think I read a court case of a Japanese game that was actually using AI to learn exactly the right type of player, and thus they would know when that player is doing this certain of action that they were about to leave. So just give them a little reward, like unless you're keeping them in it via unpredictability and curiosity. But no, I think the old school version of that is just outright gambling, isn't it? So
yeah, spot on. And what's quite interesting with this one, to not really deep go into the black hat nature of it, there is a bit of a white hat element to it, which is the idea of, you know, storytelling. Storytelling actually brings out unpredictability. So the idea, if people go to a movie because they want to know what happens next, it's the same thing with TV shows. But there's also the element of like rolling rewards, or, you know, rewards that are out of the blue. So a couple of the companies, or the movement which we think does this well, is the quick commerce, so like Getir or Gorillas, those who are trying to deliver within 10 minutes. So these guys are trying to make money by uplifting on, you know, supermarket prices just to increase their profit margins. But that's because they got a very, very high customer acquisition cost, so they're spending a ton on marketing costs or even rewards. So one thing that Getir and Gorillas do to differentiate is they'll periodically be like, hey, spend 15 quid, you get £10 off. So they're completely bleeding cash like that.
Yeah, but hey, it keeps you coming back, right? For curiosity or unpredictability.
Yeah, for me it's the sparkling water. So, and the final one, number 8, is loss and avoidance.
So I think that the most obvious one would be people playing Sims forever. They didn't want to leave the empire that they'd created, or a similar game to that. Again, maybe the games that we see around, there's only so many flights left at this given number. You don't want to miss out. Even the buy it now, which I guess is a bit of impatience on eBay, like you touched on. These kind of badges or tickers that are just trying to entice people to spend their money quicker.
Exactly. So, like Ed said, it's the idea. It's basically the idea of acting immediately. But what you've also probably subtly seen is that a lot of the black hat pieces aren't, siloed. They all work together.
I think then maybe even like, why did people play Farmville for so long? Literally allowing Mark Zuckerberg to work out exactly who they are just so they could collect some badges, and didn't stop playing because obviously you've put how many hours into this?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
it's worth less than a GCSE in English.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But it's some sort of social status point. But that sort of collecting points piece kind of links us back to what we started with. You know, with you go to a supermarket, you collect points. But what happens when you move area and Tesco isn't your local supermarket and you have to go to Sainsbury's, who are on Nectar? Does that impact your decision-making choice? Who knows, right? But that's the kind of walled gardens that come along with gamification.
Yeah, cool. I think we've done a really good job of a very brief overview of the 8 different corners of Octalysis around gamification. I think, unfortunately, we're going to see more of this creep into our lives as we get nudged in different directions by different actors. As we touched on last time, a central bank digital currency is going to nudge us to go and spend money in a coffee shop in this area within the next 2 hours or so, or you've done this at the weekend so you can't then get the train to somewhere else on a Wednesday. These kind of very blatant nudges are going to slowly creep their way into our lives if we're not careful. So yeah, let's see.
And if there's any of examples that you found, please drop it in the comments. If you'd like us to speak a bit more about gamification on either side, please do let us know, and we'll happily dive into that. Thank you again for another episode of the Growth Pod.
Until next time.
See ya.